I am never so smart that I can't learn something, and we have learned quite a bit in our first season with the raised self-irrigating or submerged irrigation planters. I'll tell you all about it. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome back to Mrs. RATTLECAN'S house. I'm James, and today we are going to start a revision of our sub-irrigated planting beds. Now the thing that we have found is that this is too tall. We need to keep it in the 16-inch range, not the 28-inch range, because we believe we've been having trouble getting our water up to the root level. So what we're going to do is, in conjunction with another project that we're doing back over here, is we're going to move a bunch of this potting mix, and we're going to fill this bed up. We're going to take the rest of this out. We're going to remove this Visqueen liner, take our tubes out. I have a spacer that I'm going to put in that's going to raise the level up about here, reinstall it with a different liner, put the tubes back in, and refill it back up. So first thing we got to do is we got to get all this, or at least most of this, into here. So I have been correctly accused in the past of making some rather dry material, so I have decided to skip the footage of me digging dirt out of a box. So anyways, I've gotten most of the potting mix out of this bed, this one here on the end that we're going to revise, and you can see we've got the tubes down here on the bottom, and I have filled up you know what, hold on a second. So I filled up the bed on the right. I have just filled up the bed on the left. I still have a whole bunch left on the top of this other bed. So we're going to get this one cleared out. Then we're going to put the frame and the mesh in it. And then we're going to put the liner back in it. Then we're going to get it back up and going. Drunk Ohio weather is drunk Ohio weather yet again. For some strange reason, here we are in November. It's supposed to be 72 or 74 in a couple of days. It's just gorgeous right now. I'm not going to complain about it, but it's just you don't know what to wear from one day to the next. All right, here's the inside with the liner removed. And it's not bad. You can see there's not enough staining around that to make me think that there was a leak on that back edge there. And it's all really pretty clean. Even up here in the front. But we do know that right in here we had a leak in the liner, because the rest of it is pretty dry. This is pretty soppy right here. So we had a leak in there somewhere. So next thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to come in here with the grinder and just a cutoff wheel and pull off these self-tapping screws that we use to put these corners on. We're gonna get those cut down, and then we'll sand them flat so that they're not interfering. I got a couple of screws. It looks like they've popped out. We'll get those screwed back in, and then we will get the frame set in here. So here you can see it's just a very simple tube frame, and it just sits right on the ground. And we're going to get this expanded metal mesh, and we're going to situate it so that it fits into the corners as best as we can, and then I actually think we're just going to screw it down. So here's what we're using. This is just expanded metal mesh, and these we actually picked up as drops, and what that means is that they're offcuts, they're throwaways. So we were able to go to our local metal supplier. The one in our area is Metal Supermarkets. Exceedingly happy to be working with them, to be purchasing stuff from them. And you can get, if it's less than like a full sheet, or if you're buying carpet, they would call it a remnant. If you're going to go down and buy metal remnants like this, you could pick them up for, pennies on the dollar, what they would normally charge you for it. So now, I think we're just going to use some of those metal screws that we have, and we're just going to tack it in here, because we don't have to support the whole thing. It doesn't have to be just a big continuous sheet. With this, we can use these little leftover pieces like this, accomplish the same thing, and do it at a fairly reasonable price. Okay, in typical Mrs. RATTLECAN'S House fashion, we're using the wrong tool for the wrong job here. I'm drilling a pilot hole for these self-piercing screws. Self-piercing screws are designed for sheet metal. This is not sheet metal, but by breaking your bit off in the hole, you can make the job a whole lot harder to do. All right, we don't want that poking up and piercing our liner, so I have adjusted it so it won't do that. All right, so here's our tube assembly, kind of just laid in there again, and as you can see, we've duct taped this. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this tube yet, this fill tube. I may just put it right like that, have it sit on the edge, because that's close enough that it'll be easy to reach, and then I can just use that piece of tubing again. I've only got so much of this spare tubing. I think I've got one more piece that I can do the bed down on the end. So we're going to take all these tubes out, and then we'll show you the pond liner, and we'll get that cut up, because it's in a 20-foot length right now. So what I found is that the easiest way to do this is to fold your liner to fit within one dimension of your bed, and then fold it over the other way, so that way if it lays down flat on the bottom, it's easy to kind of tack it up. So something that I've found are these, call them pony clamps, or big 1-inch spring clamps. Is that what they call them? 1-inch? So that you can kind of hold the sides up while you get this squared away. Because at some point you're going to have to figure how you're going to fold this. And as we have discussed in the past, I'm the guy that they invented gift bags for. Because wrapping is not my forte. Just want to get it pushed up nice and snug into the corners. And we are also fighting the morning sun. There we go. Now, all we have to do is get her stapled up. Out of staples. Then we'll just take a utility knife and trim right below the edge. Now, I must really enjoy the challenge of this part because I seem to do this every time. I've forgotten to drill my drain hole in here. And I want it to be in the upper part of this tube. So I have to measure down from the edge and then over from the edge to kind of get into the ballpark of this. So what I've done is I have used this stick. We'd call that a story stick. And then if I can get my pen out, that's about the level I want it to be there. And we want it to be about that far from the edge. So that's about where we want it. And I try to drill it at just a little bit of an upwards angle. And the other thing that I do is I use this to get the liner away from the edge so I don't drill a big giant hole in my brand new liner. And then I'm going to seal it up. You could use clear to make it a lot less noticeable. I don't have any clear. And again, I think it's important to note that we are making a box to hold dirt. And then we just use a pocket knife to cut through the liner. Hopefully not your finger. So now our tube fits down like that. And in there, now we can put the rest of our tubing in. So there we go. We got one of them revised. We got 2 new beds filled up with soil, and we are working our way to doing the same thing with 2 more beds to be revised and finish constructing 1 more. Now let's see if we can make a better go of it next spring. Anyways, I'm James. This is Mrs. Rattlecan's house. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it. Have a good one. Cheers.
If you enjoyed watching this episode of Mrs. Rattlecan's house, consider checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, and to get the latest updates on our progress, like us on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Perhaps we should have some wine.